FM. Broadcasting from the Power FM headquarters in Lusaka. Feel the power.
The views expressed on this program are not the views of Power FM or the presenter.
Voice of the People is a dynamic and interactive radio phoning show that gives listeners a platform to voice their opinions on current affairs, social issues, and community concerns. With engaging discussions, expert insights, real-time audience participation. Voice of the People.
Now, last week, President Hakainde Hichilema directed the Minister of Justice, Princess Kasune, in consultation with Parliament to defer the ongoing process on Bill number 7 of 2025. This move aims to allow for broader consultations with the Zambian people following extensive discussions with the church mother bodies, and over 30 CSOs, civil society organizations, held at State House on the 24th of June 2025. The President has emphasized the importance of inclusivity and has tasked the Minister of Justice to collaborate closely with these stakeholders to review the current roadmap and propose constitutional amendments. Now, today on Voice of the People, we are joined by the Opposition Democratic Union President, that is Mr. Ackim Njobvu, who will share his perspective on the Deferred Bill number 7, the recent Lumezi parliamentary by-election, and other pressing national issues right here on the show on Power 91.3 FM. You can also catch us live on Facebook, which is Power FM Zambia, and be part of the conversation. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Njobvu, and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Fortrace. Good morning, Shekinah, and good morning to our listeners.
All right. Now, before we dive into our conversation, maybe you can just tell us a little bit about DU, Democratic Union Party.
Thank you so much. So Democratic Union is a political party recently established. We launched the party on the 4th of December 2024, and a month later got the courage to participate in by-elections in Pambashe and in Petauke. We came third in Petauke, in Pambashe, which was quite impressive. Of course, beating political parties that have been in existence in more than 10 years. And then in Petauke, the Tonse people got our candidate, so we found ourselves in a bad state. But about the Democratic Union, it's a political party that seeks to provide an alternative option for the existing political landscape. You know, the political landscape in Zambia is characterized by bitterness, hatred, and revenge, and just politics of insult. People don't provide solutions to what they critique. So we also want to provide a political party that is characterized by integrity, transparency, and accountability. Most of the challenges that I think we are failing to resolve, partly is because of lack of innovation, as well as lack of honesty by our leaders. So we want the Democratic Union to be that political platform where people of like minds, who are of a positive character, can come together and help develop our country. Yes.
Now, when we talk about politicizing certain issues, like Bill number 7 has been one of the things that is heavily being politicized. Yes. And after that, the President said, let's extend this so that we get a wider consultation from stakeholders, from members of society. What is your perspective on Bill number 7?
I wouldn't say it's being politicized. I think the issue here is that, you see, the UPN is a very deceptive political party, including the formation of their government. I think in the preamble, we told them that the way you've introduced the bill is not the correct way. Where President at the Women's Day celebration just said we've all agreed to amend the Constitution. Later on in Mongo on the Youth Day, he said you don't even know what is in this bill. You're even arguing with me. So we rose as the opposition political parties to oppose the amendment. We said this is not the way we're supposed to initiate the constitutional amendment process. The church, including LAS and other CSOs, opposed that. We told them that this is not the right way. We have not all agreed, though they were calling them non-contentious, but which wasn't true. Because I believe, for me, I take it that the Constitution, being a fundamental document, must be initiated by sober, ordinary citizens, not politicians, because politicians have got vested interest. They're always biased in the whole process. They'd want always to have a way of staying longer or even protecting themselves. So there's no honesty in anything that is initiated by the politicians. So if you talk about even just the way the news came out that the president conferred with some people, and then he resolved that they defer the bill, which wasn't true. A day later, we discovered actually maybe he had preview to the ruling from the Constitutional Court. That's why he decided to do that. So he knew exactly. We had told him that we are opposing to this process because of many reasons. And for me, the main reason was that it wasn't concession. We didn't have that consultative process. And then for me as a youth, I'm worried that we've got a lot of challenges affecting the youth, such as high employment, high cost of living. Why should we rush for amendment when there's no constitutional crisis? Those are some of the issues that we addressed with them. And I highlighted to them that one thing you have to take note of is that in 2021, the youths gave you the vote and ushered you into office. Therefore, they need to have a voice into this whole process. So the voice of the youths can only be inputted in this whole process if we have a national referendum. And we've been singing this song of a process that is consultative. So now in trying to deceive the Zambians who like being deceived, they said, no, I've instructed the Justice Minister to defer this process, which wasn't true. He had preview to the ruling from the Constitutional Court. That's my position.
Do you believe that the extended consultations will actually lead to now better outcomes for the bill?
I believe maybe we need to withdraw the bill completely and then engage the Zambians to see there are many other issues, I think, that are of a sensitive nature that we need to include in the process. What are the challenges that we're facing as a country, as a society? Corruption is one of them. How are we going to fight corruption? Those are the key issues that we need to include in the constitution amendment process. The problem, that's why I say politicians are a problem. You see, they always want to create things for themselves. You want to increase employment for politicians when you do the delimitation and everything. What about the bigger burden that the country is facing, which is corruption? How are we going to fight it? How are we going to ensure independence of these institutions that fight corruption? Then when we talk about the members of parliament, there are some suggestions from certain sectors of the society that can we also limit their tenure in office? All those are issues that we want to be included in the constitution amendment process. So you see, when they want to do something, they need to find a reason and an excuse to make the process go through. But luckily, we are happy that the process has failed at this stage. So we hope that maybe it can be restarted from another perspective, not really what is contained in this Bill 7. We want something new, where Zambians, I think, have an input to it. For me, I would be more interested in the issue of corruption fight. How are we going to ensure corruption fight? And maybe even looking at the ownership of the businesses in Zambia. Because for a long time, we've relied so much on foreigners running businesses here. And we don't benefit enough from this country, from our resources. I had a trip to Central Province. I was in Mukusha and Kapiri there. I was talking to some people there. They're saying, Ackim, we can even take you where you can find gold and diamonds. And I said, but why are we suffering like this? They said, it's because of you politicians that we are like this. I said, no, me, I'm not a politician. I'm actually a leader. So I'm coming on this platform to help our country that is mourning. So this is what we want to do as young people. So you need to support us. Yes.
Remember that this is Voice of the People. You can call us up. You can send us your messages right now. That is on 0955 997 997 or on 0979 192 485. And well, in studio with us, we do have the president of the Democratic Union, that is Mr. Ackim Njobvu, and he is breaking down some of the things that we have been seeing within the nation at the moment, and that is starting with how that was just last week, President Hakainde Hichilema directed the Minister of Justice, Princess Kasune, in consultation with Parliament to defer the ongoing process on Bill number 7 of 2025. And now this move is said to allow for broader consultations with the Zambian people, you and I. And we are seeing as well with the church mother bodies, and even civil society organizations. And so now we have seen how vocal civil society organizations and even religious groups have been about this particular situation. And do you think they are really playing their role as much, or are they just all talk? Are they really playing a role as actually holding government accountable?
No, they are not. You see, the sad thing about most of these CSOs, I think I would term them as just being funded to promote certain agendas. Sometimes they can be supported by the government and they start promoting, because there are some who supported Bill 7 and others, of course, opposed. But then now that we are in this state, for me, I would even love to see further action where the advisors to the president should all be dismissed if they can't resign. starting from the parties, the ones helping the president, even the ones in the government, should all be dismissed. Because these are things that should never happen. We should never have a situation as a country where we've got learned people and we see the constitution being abrogated. How are you advising the president? Is it the reason that why the UPN has really struggled to deliver development? Because it's got wrong advisors. You see, when the president, if you talk about the funeral, the president had said, we've reached this end, let's move on. I think let me even call off the national mourning. Another one rises up and puts in an injunction. So you can see the type of people that he's surrounded with. Sometimes we may blame an innocent president, but it's the advisors that are wrong. I'd want to see now the likes of Maximo, how they will react to this whole process, because this is an embarrassment to them. They are talking out every day, making press statements and briefings on this amendment process as though they understood what they were doing. Now it has come out clear that they do not understand what they are doing. So those roles which they occupy, they are not supposed to occupy them. I believe maybe we've got other able lawyers who are supposed to occupy those places. I hope maybe LAS can also take an action against its members. So we can't have a country being misled by what we call learned people. But they are misleading the president. That's an embarrassment. Yes.
Okay. Now, do you think the government responded adequately to public concerns with what we are having a discussion about, which is Bill number 7, and other sections of society who are feeling there are some similarities with Bill 10?
Yes, there are similarities, but you see, the issue is that whenever there's this process, the feeling from the citizens is that if the process is rushed, it's because there's a hidden agenda. That's why you are rushing the process. We ask them, why are you rushing the process?
Sorry to cut you off short. Do you feel there's a hidden agenda with what is being done right now?
Yes, of course. If you follow the whole process, initially when the process was initiated, of course, we are not even told how much the whole process will cost. There was no budget. It wasn't budgeted for in the 2025 budget. Then when we asked for detail, initially there were two critical issues. The first one was the nomination of the members of parliament. We asked them, how many do you want? Said parliament would determine. We were not given a number. When we talk about delimitation, we are not given a number. At the time, they asked us to support a process. How do you expect me to ask you to support a process where there's insufficient information?
So I would love to just jump in. Last week we did have a discussion with the UPND media team,
yes,
who did clarify on the delimitation that the ECZ, it is written in the constitution that they are supposed to carry out delimitation after 10 years. So even the previous government were supposed to do it because it is in the constitution. So they are just doing what was supposed to be done. Are you against delimitation?
At this, looking at the state of the economy, I think I'm against the limitation. So you see, for me, I'm an accountant, I'm also an economist, and I believe when we take certain steps, I think they must be reasonable. Yes, the law is there, but the law is not always right. You look at the state in which you are. There's no need for you, Fortrace, to buy a suit when there's no food in the house. When your children, you do not have money to pay for school fees. I think for me, what is more important, I think you must act morally at all times. So when they talk about doing an exercise because the Constitution just allows, I think if you engage the Zambians, we're able to change. These are the laws that we pass as citizens. Say, we've got a crisis right now. The biggest crisis we have in the country is the issue of power, load shedding. Now we're only being given 5 hours. There's a report that came out, I think, a few days ago from Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is saying they are reducing they are reducing load shedding to only 3 hours. So they have about 21 hours of power and 3 hours of no power. And last year have how many hours? Only 5 hours of power and 19 hours of load shedding. What is the reason they gave for reducing the long hours of load shedding? Kariba Dam has got enough water. But in Zambia, still saying there's no water. So we are dealing with the people who are not honest. That's the key thing there. So when we talk about it's mandated in the Constitution and everything, the other disappointment, when the ECZ Technical Committee did their whatever they needed to do, that technical committee, and they were supposed to present a report to the executive, you know what they said? We leave it to the executive to decide on how many constituencies should be limited. I said that's a very foolish thing to do. How do you waste taxpayers' money? You can't come up with a resolution that is definite. You are supposed to say, this is what we are recommending to you. They said it's either the executive decides or we are going to rely on the 2019 report. But why did you waste time to engage the citizens in deciding which constituencies has to be delimited if you didn't come up with the final decisions on the number? So you could see that actually the whole thing was being politically driven. The experts were somehow, they knew that they were supposed to be engaged, but they knew that it's politically driven and the result should favor what the executive wants.
So, Mr. Ackim, I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
Was it going to make a difference if either the ECZ made the delimitation or the UPND government made it? Was it going to make any difference, or was it going to still be the same? Because it is in the Constitution in 10 years, supposed to be delimited.
Yes, whether it's in the Constitution or not, we are supposed to act morally right. So for me, I'm looking at an economy that is struggling. We are really struggling. We've got a lot of challenges in our country here. If we talk about unemployment, there's a time I told them, let's focus on investing in the productive areas of our economy. There was a time I even had a contentious debate where we were talking about teacher recruitment. I said, this is good, but why can't we invest in productive areas where we can get even the other professions to get employment opportunities? We are not saying that employing teachers is not bad, but let's invest in productive areas. So even if the Constitution says after 10 years we are supposed to do the amendment, we can look at the critical areas. What is it that needs to be amended? Does it compel us that we are supposed to do this thing? We can still say, okay, maybe we'll do only 5 delimitations. We can talk about a few. But the challenge is, what is it that we are lacking as a country? It's resources. We haven't had leaders today who are able to mop our natural resources, turn them into government revenue, to help us get on a track of development that we intend to see. So that's the challenge that we have. Me, I'm looking at the challenge versus this cosmetic process that you want to champion as citizens or as the UPND. Yeah.
Speaking of actually reinvesting within resources that we do have, you did actually recently call for the establishment of the Mining Investment Agency, MIA, to oversee mining activities for small-scale miners and even marketing various minerals on their behalf.
Yes.
And so now lately we have seen how conversations of illegal miners passing away because of illegal mining activities that were taking place, and how we also did have Kasenseli being opened up for illegal miners to mine. So now within this particular area, if I should say, how exactly can the government step in, aside from having a mining investment agency? How can they step in to ensure that small-scale miners, who at least I would like to believe are those who have transitioned from illegal mining to now legal mining, how can the government come in to assist them?
I think most of the things we need to do them with sanity. If you look at the other day, I was watching the NBC TV. So the mines minister now pointing to Zitsensele mine, says now you can go and mine. So that chaos, you see people just rushed in to start picking whatever they needed to pick. Then a few days later, I think there was a ministerial statement in Parliament where the minister gave out a laid out plan of what they intend to do. You find what is on the ground is different from what is being delivered in Parliament. Then I'm saying, do these people, what do they do when they sit in cabinet? Do they really come up with one resolution to say this is what we are going to do? Or this minister says this, then outside they do something different. So for me, what I'm saying is we need sanity in the whole process. You see, there are other investors whose mining land is being encroached by these illegal miners. If you look at Zambia as just a geological survey, it will tell you that we've got a lot of minerals. I've been saying one thing that we need to do through that which you have explained, the mining investment, we need to create mining blocks, which are greenfields, where we can allocate these illegal miners. We give them licenses, they start mining there, unlike encroaching on other people's mining sites. That is not good. And if you are to help these people, you can't just tell them to go and mine without helping them, without training them, without giving them equipment, because we're seeing most of them are dying. Are we really getting benefit from that, other than just extra expenditure by the government in terms of barring or providing support to these people? So we need a strategic resolution in this case. If we talk about another issue, is even when you talk about street vendors, I say we can't allow every street to be occupied by street vendors. It's not supposed to be the case. We can allocate a few streets and say, okay, Lumumba, even Freedom we are giving you. You can't be found in Cairo Road. You can't be found in Freedom. So this is what we need to do. We need sanity. If you engage these people, I think they're able to understand and reason with you that you can't have every part of the city given for street vending. We need allocated the places for them where we allow them, so that even us motorists know that when I go to Lumumba, I expect to be delayed because there are street vendors there, or I'm looking for something. Then you provide that direction so that other motorists can use other roads. So that's why when we talk about illegal mining, we are supposed to help them. Yes, these people are looking for opportunities because I think we are in a very tough environment right now where everyone now thinks that I need to go into mining, then I'll be able to help myself. Then, of course, when you go into that illegal mining, where are you going to sell those minerals that you are getting? You want to get a fair price from them, because those who want to buy, again, are vouchers who want to get them at a low amount, and then they make profit from that. So the off-takers are the ones who actually benefit, and you end up risking your life. And then even just the way they are doing the mining, they're using hose and all that, then you find that the earth is collapsing on them. We're not getting the benefit. For me, I believe in a strategic direction. That's why for me, I've been calling on new young people to come on board Democratic Union so that together we can shape the future for this country. If you look at China, China has been shaped through technology and innovation. And technology and innovation is something that is possessed by the young people. Yesterday I was watching something on ZNBC where a young man had created something. This motoka meetings of Panga Setkali Wafana. I don't know whether you had that opportunity. It was an excavator and a tipper. He was able to use the electronic gadgets to do that. So I was very impressed. Then I even had ideas from there that if I'm given the opportunity, I think we need to do something extra apart from what is in our manifesto to encourage young people to be able to become so innovative, so that from this we're able to create our own solutions to the challenges that we're facing. Won't you be proud if we created our own solutions, not imported from outside the country, but our own solutions to the many challenges that we're facing? I believe that would be the best way. Look at us now, right now, wasting a lot of time, wasting a lot of money in a constitution amendment process that doesn't solve the real problems that we are facing as a country, but we want to put resources in that. Yes, laws and what should be perfect, but you look at the situation that you are in right now. What is it that I need to resolve? For me, is anything that I need to resolve now is the issue of electricity. Last time we saw Zambia saying they made losses because of load shedding, this inflation and FX rate. Those are the real challenges that we are supposed to resolve. So I believe when us young people are given that mandate, we need to focus on the real issues that solve our challenges, not just because the Constitution says 10 years, then we waste time doing that. So I believe somehow I would say, maybe for lack of a better term, brainwashed leaders who think, okay, now today, because you don't have a plan, you don't know what you went in to do there. So you're saying, oh, because 10 years I'm supposed to do this, then this I'm supposed to do. We are supposed to be innovative. Without innovation, there's nothing that we will do. Yes. Okay. I've been calling even on the civil engineer, said, as the time when we are given power, we need to make sure that you find the solutions how we are going to do good third roads at a cheaper price, so that we help ourselves, because there's a lot of need for infrastructure development in this country. When we talk about free education, it's a good thing, it's not a bad thing, but we have got 100 kids in a classroom. How can a teacher help those children? It's very difficult. As a Peter Wanji, to supervise the children. So we need more infrastructure in that. And for us to do that, we really need to use our natural resource. How can countries be laughing at us, a country that is endowed with so much, but we are failing to manage it? Mm-hmm. Yes. This is Voice of the People. You can be part of the conversation. The phone lines are open. The number is 0979-192-485 or 0955-997-997. We are joined in the studio by Democratic Union President, who is Mr. Ackim Njobvu, and we are having discussions about Bill 7. And of course, we will be diving into the recent Lumezi parliamentary by-election. And you can come through with a voice note, or you can send a text, or you can call in. The phone lines are open. Hello, good morning. Yes, you to Voice of the People.
Hello, good morning, lady.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very good, Mr. Ackim Njobvu.
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm happy you are talking about power. I'm very, very happy.
Thank you.
Go ahead with the contribution.
My contribution is on power.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy that Mr. Ackim was talking about power. The government should hear about power, not 5 hours. How can we get 5 hours? They will have the power.
Okay, is that all? Okay, and he's gone. So let's dive into load shedding issue. You did say that we are having Zimbabwe rather, they are having at least 19 hours of power and
Yes.
a few hours of load shedding, whereas here in Zambia we're having 4 to 5 hours of power and the rest of the hours we have load shedding. So as the Democratic Union president, and maybe you might have solutions that we might look into, and also the cost of living, which you earlier on alluded to as we're having a conversation right here. So what is your take on load shedding? What solutions do you have for the people of Zambia?
Okay, so I know for a long time we've been talking about solar power, but for me, I don't think solar power is the game changer. You see, for industrialization actually to take place, you need what we call hard energy. So hard energy is energy that, if you have noticed, some of us who've got these solar lights, if you notice this time around, the lights are not as bright as they were before. So that simply tells that energy is not stable. So when we talk about industrialization, there are certain turbines in the real industries which cannot be driven by solar energy. So if you heard even about the Chisamba one, they are talking about homes. They haven't talked about industries. Yes. And then we need also to hear what the real benefit will be to the people of this country or the people of Chisamba and Central Province. They haven't told us how many hours of load shedding will be removed by bringing in on the national grid the solar project that they are commissioning today. So when we talk about maybe for homes, yes, solar, quite all right, solar can work. But for me, I believe if you look at in our manifesto, what we've proposed in the shorter term is that we need to come up with natural gas power stations. So these natural gas power stations will be able to help us resolve this load shedding that we are having. Then in the longer term, we need to get nuclear. Nuclear power is cheaper than hydro, first of all. It's also clean energy. Then it will help spur industrialization, because the price of nuclear power is cheaper. And then also that's clean energy, which supports sustainability. But then we need something that is quite stable and assured, which won't be impacted by these global warming effects. So that's what we are looking at in terms of the solutions to provide for energy. But above all things, I think we need to prioritize. If you look at America, they're saying America first. Are we saying Zambia first in all that we are doing? A few months ago, we saw the High Commission of Namibia thanking Zambia for giving them power. And then here we are lamenting we don't have power. So it means that we are prioritizing development in other countries and not our own. Are we sure we want to resolve the challenges that we are facing as a country? Could it be that we have enough, but maybe we are prioritizing exporting than working on our economy? So these are the issues that we need to talk about. So this, I think, brings to mind also the issue of, you see, right now we've got a few projects that are coming up in this government. For 4 years, where were they? But now, because we are nearing the elections, they've started implementing certain projects, even road projects here and there. So those Zambians who haven't matured in the mind will start saying, no, the government is now working, forgetting that now they are preparing for the elections. If you talk about Petauke there, they did quite a lot of things before the by-election. But after the by-election, things have stopped. Even this social cash transfer, nothing. Cash for work, nothing. So we want you Zambians now, especially you, the young ones, to realize when you are being dribbled, know that now we are being dribbled, and you do the opposite, so that you teach the people, the politicians, a lesson. Politicians need to be taught a lesson. That's one thing that you need to know. So because sometimes they cannot take us to be, in losses they go to Mbutu, to those to my little babies. So that's how they take us for. So we need to be sure, to be definite about what we want to do. We cannot be deceived that before elections, that's when things begin to improve. We talk about the issue of even fuel. We are paying fuel at 38. Then when there's open access, we are told actually you can pay the price of fuel at half the price. So for 4 years, what have you been doing to us? You've been robbing us. Our little resources have been robbing us, paying a lot in terms of fuel, even just the essential commodities that we are paying. So all these are things that we need to look at with a sober mind. when that time for elections come, usually governments do quite a lot of things to deceive its people, but we need that sober mind where we as citizens sit down and reason soberly and say, this is what we are going to do, and rate people on that basis. So if we talk about load shedding, that's what we intend to do as Democratic Union. Then talking about the issue of cost of living. So the cost of living, first of all, we need to make to empower our citizens. So because the other challenge that we are facing, I usually speak for the young people, is lack of unemployment. It's unemployment. So how are we going to help ensure that we give economic power to these who do not have employment? So with us, we are creating what we are calling strategic cooperations in agriculture, in mining, in construction and engineering, as well as technology and innovation. So when we create these corporations, which should be present in all the 10 provinces, they should be able to create massive employment opportunities for our citizens. So when we do that, we have created the other part of economic empowerment. Then also, we want to make sure that we have got enough food in the country. Through the National Food and Agriculture Corporation, we want to make sure that we've got commercial farms in all the districts of the country. First of all is to ensure national food security, then later on to ensure that we begin to export. Zambia is best positioned to begin to feed the rest of most of Southern Africa, even Africa at large. You know, what pains me is that you see Zambia had the potential to be able to help the rest of Southern Africa get liberated. Why should we be in this space where we become a non-entity, a laughing stock? We need to claim back that status which we had as a country, especially that we are a Christian nation. I always tell these people, you see, if you look at America, they recognize that in their national development, they needed God in that journey of national development. That's why they said, in God we trust, and they put that inscription on the dollar bill. And God has made them to be powerful the way they are. That is God's project. So we are a Christian nation. Why are we struggling like this? We're not supposed to struggle. When I was launching the party, I said we need to wear two coats, the one of the spiritual integrity and one of technology and innovation, learning from China and learning from the US, so that we become a powerhouse as a Zambia. We are well positioned as a country to take that space of being a powerhouse, a food basket for the region. But it seems, I think, we haven't been blessed well with the leadership that we needed after the departure of KK. So we need young people to come on board who are honest, who know that if they misfire, the consequences will hit them.
Yes. Well, speaking of the consequences, we are seeing, or rather people coming together. We've seen a number of alliances forming, saying that for them to actually now ensure that in the next coming elections that there is a stronger margin of people actually, I would say, changing government,
yes,
alliances need to take place. What particular alliance would Democratic Union join?
No, we are not. We are not part of any alliance.
Would you like to, if you were to join one? Is there any that is catching your eye that you think you would align with?
None of them. You see, the challenge that I have is yes, maybe we might need to think of an alliance, but you see, the same people that have been there still want to come back, and take the helm of leadership. What change are we going to expect from the old, from people who have already exhausted what they had? They still want to come back. If I tell you about the Tonse Alliance, I'm sure you've noticed now that it's just PF who are claiming the center stage. So it's like getting those ideas that we had in PF and bringing them back. So is this what we want? We want something new. What we need now is a transformative movement that is going to help think in a different way and bring development to our country. So if we talk about the other alliances, I think we need, if it was something new by new people, by maybe young leaders, then we say, okay, let's come together and form this alliance because what we're bringing is something new. For me, the greatest fear that I have is if we look at the alliance that is there, for example, if we gave Tonse to come back in its current state, you see what will happen. There will be persecutions again. So we want to do away to curtail these persecutions that are happening. When PF was there persecuting UPND, UPND comes persecuting the other. So we are saying you two need to rest. Let a new breed of leaders come on board so that we curtail this. We can't continue like this. That's why maybe we don't even have a former president right now because we keep persecuting each other. So we need this new breed of leaders that is going to do away with these persecutions, do away with this issue of tribalism. We are young people. I wouldn't come here and ask you to say, Fortrace, what is your tribe? Shekinah, what is your tribe? That's not necessary. For me, I would look at the potential and the skills that you have to say, are you able to add value? If you are able, we give you a platform. then we transform our country. But the challenge that has been there with our fathers and our parents is that I don't know where they got this bitterness from. So whenever these are in leadership, they have to deal with others. If these are in leadership, they have to deal with others. So there's nothing new in Tonse Alliance. What is it that is new there? Nothing. These people who are there, they've already had an opportunity to serve the country. I think they did their best, although their best was not good enough. Why should we bring them? It's up to the Zambians to make a sober judgment and decision and say, this is how we want to move forward. If you look at Burkina Faso, there's a young man there who has done wonderful things in 2 to 3 years. We are able to say, okay, so within 2 to 3 years, we're able to bring development in a country. Our leaders here are looking at extending the term, are looking at a way of protecting themselves from the ills that they have done. So now it's up to the Zambians to decide in a sober manner to say, this is the direction that we want. Enough is enough. But if we bring the way these other alliances are in that state, we've got people who've been in government for 20 years. What do you want to come and do with them? Are you sure you're going from the old, you want to bring out something new? It can't happen. So we need new ideas. So if we talk about alliances, and in Zambia, I think the history has shown that alliances don't work in this country. It's the only alliance maybe that has proved a bit to work is the UPND alliance. It's not really an alliance like the way others are. Others came and joined the UPND. So if others want to come and join Democratic Union, then we form such type of an alliance, then maybe it might be able to succeed. But otherwise, talking about these other ones, we've got the same people who've been in government for 20 years and so. What new thing do you expect from them? Nothing. Yes. So I want you to look at it from that perspective. So the two things that you have to be aware of is that if you bring the same people, nothing new will be seen in this country. Mm-hmm. And again, they will continue fighting each other. Definitely, you know how they feel they have been treated. When they are given power, they will come hard on UPND, and we don't want that. We want when UPND goes next year, we don't want any chaos. We don't want any retribution in the country. We want our peace. We want our unity. So this can only be done by young people. Yes. So
do you believe right now that if we go to elections next year, that Democratic Union is set? If you were to win, you would run the country?
Yes, we definitely run. We're equal to the task.
Okay.
Yes, we're equal to the task.
All right, now let me take you back. On Friday, Ngoma Lufeyo of the UPND was declared winner of the Lumezi parliamentary seat with 11,521 votes, defeating his closest rival, Goodson Banda of the New Congress Party, who received 6,821 votes, according to the Electoral Commission of Zambia. Now, how do you feel about the outcome of the Lumezi parliament by-election?
It was disappointing. First of all, I thought maybe the sympathy vote would work in the favor of Tonse Alliance, but it seems it didn't work. But you see, the biggest challenge I think that was there is that we are all in mourning. They even stopped campaigning. We're all concentrating on how is this issue of the burial of our sixth president going to be resolved? That's why at one point they even asked that maybe the election can be postponed so that anyway they are given time. But the other camp were busy campaigning and then even planning. So we don't know what could have been happened. The first batch of ballot papers, you see, there are those errors. So we don't know what was being planned with by that. And then again, we thought that they are going to defer the election because of that error. I said, no, we have actually reprinted. So what could have happened between that error and the reprinting, we don't know. Only God knows. But for me, we were all suspicious because how can that happen? And for the candidate who belongs to the ruling party, so that sends a message that can be suspicious. But the fact is that I was very disappointed, knowing that I think that place, I think the opposition should have gotten it. Then there another issue that we were talking about projects. I was also in Lumezi, I think 2 months ago. So we saw that they started working on the Lundazi Road, so that put heaps of sand. So I'm sure now after the by-elections they have stopped. So this is how they would wink the voters. So we need to educate each other as young people to say, this is how, maybe we need some basic training for young people, for journalists, so that then we can help each other to prepare the citizens for next year's elections. So, but of course, if you go further backwards, before 2021 general elections, the PF were also winning by elections by massive margins. But what happened when we had the general elections? You see, the by-elections are tricky because the government, through its machinery, are able to do whatever they're able to do to make sure that they win a by-election. No party in government would want to lose a by-election because they've got the machinery, they've got the resources, and they'll be able to fight. So usually it's up to the opposition to be able to convince the voters that this is what we stand for. Then maybe that's when they can get it. So for Tons, I've seen they want to go to court to have the election nullified. I think I would just tell them it's not necessary. Let's make progress. Yes, let's make progress. And especially that in the past, we've also some doubt on our courts. So it's not necessary. Other than wasting resources, let them just continue maybe spreading the message, their campaign messages to the people and make progress. Yeah.
All right. Now, as we move forward, how do you assess the current state of the Zambia's economy? Looking at the kwacha maintained stability and exhibited a slight appreciation in June, which is the same month, continued its gradual improvement since May, attributable to enhanced fiscal management and stable inflation. Do you find this development noteworthy?
So it's a good thing. Of course, we have to be happy when there's something positive in the country. But what we have to be wary of is this appreciation backed by production, export. If it's not, then likely it's going to go back. Because if you look at the time that we had that for, it's that time when we were paying corporate income tax. So most of the companies, multinationals, were changing their dollar reserves to kwacha to pay that tax. So we'd want to see how it performs in the next 2 weeks. If it goes back to where it was, then we'd know that it was just driven by that. But if it still maintains where it is at 24, then you know that, okay, maybe there could have been an intervention from Bank of Zambia, or indeed it could be the export monitoring process that was put in place. But we are yet to determine that. But for me, quickly I would say it's because of the income tax that was being paid. Companies were paying income tax and they had to sell their dollar reserves to buy kwacha to pay the tax. But so we'll see what happens, because already I think it had come down to 20. Is it 22? Yeah. Now it's back to 24. Yes. So it could be an indication that there could be something. As an economist, they could have seen that as an opportunity to say, companies are selling, we can also inject something to make sure that it drops down. But as long as it's not backed by production and export, we can't sustain it. Yes.
Do you think it's going to hold? What are your expectations regarding it? Are we going to see an improvement in the next month as well, July?
I don't foresee any improvement, because for me to predict any improvement, I have to know exactly what the government has done to be able to make sure that the appreciation can hold. Right now, there's no something that we can really point out to say this is actually the reason. So we can't even attribute it to the export monitoring, or others are saying investment in the mining sector, like the minister said. I say no. Investment in the mining sector is long term. For you to see the benefits, you might only see even the benefits after you've moved out. So you're going to prepare this. You've prepared the real benefit for Democratic Union. So Democratic Union will get that praise for the investment that you've put now, because mining investment is long term. So for them to see the benefits, it will be quite long. And the challenge that we've had in the mining sector is that, you see, I don't know, we haven't developed a framework or a system that allows us to even know exactly what is coming out of the mining sector. That's why for me I'd said we need to establish the Zambia Institute of Mining and Petroleum, a private body that can help us monitor the activities in the mining sector, including the people working there, so that at least even their ethics can be monitored, the mining houses can be monitored. So if we talk about real benefit from the mining sector, there has to be certain policies that have to be passed to be able to monitor that sector. That's why I also opposed at the time when they reduced mineral royalty. They were saying, no, because in Canada, the mineral royalty is low, in DRC, the mineral royalty is low. I said, no, guys, you can't compare Zambia with these two countries. First of all, if we compare Zambia and Canada, in Canada, the mines declare the full output. If they mine 10,000 metric tons, they will declare 10,000. But here you find that they only declare maybe 2,000. And the other minerals, they won't even declare, they just go out. And then if you talk about Zambia and DRC has got a history of conflict. How can you want a tax regime for a country like Zambia, which is peaceful and stable, and compare it with another country where there's also a huge investment in terms of security? So you want to compare the tax regimes to be the same. That's a flawed type of reasoning. Yes.
This is Voice of the People. You can call us up. You can send us your messages. That is on 0955 997 997 or on 0979 192 485. In case you're just tuning in, we're actually about to wrap up in a bit. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mr. Ackim.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the opportunity.
Before we let you go, just in less than a minute, maybe you can tell us your party manifesto, just in less than a minute.
Okay, so ours is a transformative movement which seeks to transform this economy. So the way to transform this economy is through the creation of what we are calling strategic operations, because we believe the biggest resource we have are resources that we have, the minerals, the land, and the water. So that's why we are setting up this strategic operation in agriculture, in mining, engineering and construction, as well as technology and innovation. But there's also something interesting that we want to bring on board, what we are calling the capital economic zone, where we are going to declare one province a capital economic zone, where we want to mobilize resources for the manufacturing sector. So I'm sure you've heard a lot of politicians, a lot of Zambians talking about, no, we need to invest in manufacturing sector. But the fact is that we don't have resources to invest in that sector. So we thus want to declare this province a capital economic zone, where we're going to mobilize resources now to give to people who want to invest in manufacturing and processing plants. I think that will be a game changer for our economy, and that's what we need for us to be able to get real value from our resources. So sometimes we make bad decisions like borrowing money from NAPSA to invest in the dual carriageway. So those are some of the things that we really need to think outside the box. So for me, as the president of the Democratic Union, I'd like to appeal to young people, to the women, the people in the diaspora, as well as those even working in the government, that we mean well for the country, and what we want to do is purely from that honest point of view, where we want to bring about development. It's not this deception that you've been seeing before. We are people of integrity. We haven't been politicians before. We just leaders who had an opportunity, like in my case, to work in the public service as well as in the private sector. I've contributed, and think most of the major multinationals that I've worked for have really developed, have really grown to massive levels. I believe now it's time to serve this country. So I believe we are equal to the task. So we'd like to appeal to the Zambians, both in the civil service, those outside the civil service, those in the diaspora, and everyone else with a positive attitude to consider joining Democratic Union, so that together we can help our country. We haven't called our part as a youth movement, no, because we believe everyone else needs to be part of this journey. Even those experienced minds who've been there, they've got their back seat of advising us. So we believe they still have to come on board and be able to help us. But we've got something special for the youths. For the youths, we want to make sure that they are not just tools, they are leaders who are going to help this country. So besides the other roles they will get in central government, we'll give them district commissioner roles. They have to be for the youths, for the young people. Then we also have created a special place for the women because of the special role you play in the homes and just what God has given in you. We want you to be provincial ministers in all the 10 provinces reserved for the women. So when we do these things, I think we should be able to reposition the country for development without leaving anyone behind. Okay. So that's what we intend to do.
All right. Thank you very much for coming through once again.
Thank you so much, Fortrace, and thank you so much, Shekinah, for the opportunity. Looking forward to meeting you again soon.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Well, this has been Voice of the People right here on the Power Breakfast on Power 91.3. You can also stream us live wherever you are, whichever parts of the world you are at. You can stream us, that is via the TuneIn app or Radio Box, or you can follow us via our social media platforms, that is on Power FM Zambia. We were joined in the studio by Mr. Ackim Njobvu, who is the Democratic Union President.
Voice of the People, Monday to Friday from 8:45 to 8:30 a.m. Great morning conversations start here.
The views expressed on this program are not the